In today's video, we will be taking a look at my updated 2024 presidential election prediction between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Now, if we look at the polling right now, Joe Biden is trailing Donald Trump here by about 2.3% according to Real Clear Politics. This is not a good look for Joe Biden as of right now because he was leading Donald Trump in 2020 by 8 percentage points nationally according to FiveThirtyEight, also on polling, and he underperformed expectations. So this is certainly not a good look for Joe Biden. Nonetheless, he still has a year to recover, and all indications would end up showing that Joe Biden is probably going to recover some by election day in 2024, but we're not sure if that's going to be enough for him to win the election. Now, going to the map over here, we see that Joe Biden is at 181 safe electoral votes, and Donald Trump is at 113 safe electoral votes. Let's start off with Donald Trump's likely states, because he is behind on the Electoral College vote count. The states of Alaska and South Carolina are going to go to Donald Trump. That is not super surprising. Going to Iowa and Ohio, both these states voted for Donald Trump here by 8 percentage points over Joe Biden in 2020. Therefore, these are states that are going to go for Donald Trump. The state of Florida here with 30 electoral votes, previously a crucial bellwether state, now pretty much safely in the Republican column. Republicans consistently win the state. They don't win it by a huge margin, but nonetheless, in the past couple of years, Donald Trump has made the state a very conservative state, and it has 30 electoral votes, so quite a bit of electoral influence. But guess what state has a more electoral influence than the state of Florida? The state of Texas. Quite to the contrary of the state of Florida, the state has been trending to the Democratic Party over the past 30 to 40 years. Now, the state of Texas does have some pretty Democratic cities, such as Dallas, as well as Austin, Houston, and San Antonio. The Republican areas of the state, so some of the rural regions, that's how Republicans consistently defeat Democrats in the state of Texas. However, the state is trending to the Democratic Party at quite a fast pace. Now, I don't think Democrats will win the state in 2024. I think they'll overperform once again and improve in areas like Dallas and Fort Worth, as well as some of the suburbs around the Dallas County and Tarrant County region. I also think Democrats will consistently do better and better in the Harris County region, as well as Austin and San Antonio. Nonetheless, I think Republicans will continuously do better in some of the rural areas of the state, and I think that they'll be able to win the state again by more than 5 points in 2024. So going to Democrats, their likely states: Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, nothing surprising there. Maine's at-large vote, again, nothing shocking there. The state of Minnesota here, Joe Biden did win the state by about 7.1 points in 2020 over Donald Trump. This was a state that he improved by more than 5 points in compared to the 2016 performance by Hillary Clinton. Democrats were able to do very well in the Minneapolis suburbs and was able to secure the state. And I think they'll be able to continuously do that in the 2024. I think Joe Biden will slightly underperform because of his polling numbers, but nonetheless, he'll still be able to win the state. Another state he'll probably be able to hold down by a likely margin is the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a white college-educated state, which is a demographic that Democrats have been overperforming in the past couple of years, or maybe just over a decade. And Donald Trump has had some poor remarks about the state, and this is a state where Joe Biden's still polling way ahead of Donald Trump in the polling, and therefore I'm going to give the state to Joe Biden. Now, the remaining states here are going to be the truly competitive states in 2024. I'm just going to give Maine's 2nd district here to Donald Trump. I think he'll win the district. I think Joe Biden will win Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. With that sorted, let's go to our lean and tilt states. Start with the state of Nevada. Now, in the state of Nevada here, we see that Joe Biden won the state over Donald Trump by 2.5 percentage points. Now, that's not that impressive of a margin considering he won the national vote by 4.5 percentage points. So the state's about 2 points redder than the national average. Furthermore speaking, Democrats rely on Hispanic turnout in Las Vegas, and Joe Biden has been performing relatively poorly with Hispanics, and also this County actually trended towards the Republican Party compared to 2016. The trends and just the overall outlook, especially considering the polling, doesn't look that good for Joe Biden. I'm going to give this state to Donald Trump by a tilt margin. Now going to the state of Arizona. This is quite the contrary to the state of Nevada. This is a state that has been trending towards the Democratic Party by quite a substantial margin. Again, also some white college-educated voters that are in the state, and some moderate Republicans who have voted against Donald Trump in 2020, who may have voted for him in 2016, and definitely voted for John McCain and Mitt Romney in 2008 and 2012. The state overall is trending towards the Democratic Party, there's no doubt about that. And I really think Donald Trump is not the candidate to appeal in the state of Arizona. In 2022, his candidate, essentially, Kari Lake, lost the state, despite the fact that her opponent, Katie Hobbs, was pretty incompetent of a candidate compared to some other Democratic options. Furthermore speaking, I just don't think Trump is going to be able to do well in a state like Arizona, and I think that Joe Biden will win the state by a tilt margin because Donald Trump's not going to be able to appeal in the state like Arizona. Now going to the state of Georgia. Georgia is also a state that's trending to the Democratic Party by a substantial margin, even faster than the state of Arizona. Trump won the state by 5 points in 2016, but lost the state in 2020. That's largely thanks to black voters who turned out in huge numbers for Joe Biden. Black turnout in the United States is typically slightly lower than white turnout, but nonetheless, black voters turned out and voted for Joe Biden. Now, in 2024, I think that some black voters, according to polling, especially young voters who are in the Atlanta region, are probably not going to turn out in high numbers for Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden's vote totals will drop, and I think Trump's vote totals may also drop slightly, but I think ultimately Donald Trump may come up on top by just around 20 to 30,000 votes. Now, the state will probably be a safe blue state in 2036 or 2040. Nonetheless, this is still not the time for Democrats in the state of Georgia to win 100% of its elections. Now, going to the state of North Carolina here, Donald Trump won the state over Joe Biden with less than 50% of the total vote. This is the only state that Trump did not obtain a majority in the vote and yet still won the state. Now, the state is trending to the Democratic Party by a pretty gradual and slow pace. Democrats have been able to overperform in some of the areas like Charlotte, and they have improved gradually in areas like Wake County and Guilford County. These are some of the cities in the state. Now, Republicans have been able to do better in this part of the state, right bordering the ocean over here, and these are counties that have been trending to the Republican Party. These are all rural counties, including some of these rural black counties up here, and Democrats have actually been able to do well in the areas bordering Tennessee, Georgia, and South Carolina, if we look at some of the trends over here. Now, I think in the future, the state might lean toward the Democratic Party a little bit, but I think in 2024, Democrats will still probably end up losing the state against Donald Trump by a pretty narrow margin. So we see that Trump is inching closer to that 270 mark. Now let's go to the state of Michigan here. The state of Michigan voted for Joe Biden by 3 percentage points. I honestly don't think Donald Trump will be able to win the state. I think that Joe Biden will still be able to overperform despite some of his not so great polling numbers, approval ratings, etc. I think that Democrats, just generally their trend, they're going to end up overperforming in areas like Genesee County, Oakland County, as well as Kent County. These are areas that Democrats can improve on and ultimately will probably secure Democrats' future elections. Also, Democrats just have a huge vote pocket in the Detroit and Arbor region. Now, if we see Democrats do very well in counties like Oakland, that will pretty much lock the state for the Democratic Party. So that will be it for the state of Michigan. I think Joe Biden will probably win the state by around a lead margin. Now going to the state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin borders the state of Michigan. These two states, combined with the state of Pennsylvania, generally vote for the same candidate. But I think in this prediction, these states are going to split up. The state of Wisconsin voted for Joe Biden by 0.63%, a similar margin as Trump won the state by in 2016. We saw that despite the national average trending to the Democrats by 2 points, we saw that many rural counties in the state of Wisconsin trended to the Republican Party. Trump is generally going to overperform with many working class voters, similarly in the states of Michigan and Pennsylvania, but Wisconsin is the reddest out of the three states. And I think that many voters in the state will ultimately still choose Donald Trump over Joe Biden. We see that I think Republicans still have a lot of room to improve it in some of the rural counties. But we see some wild counties here. I don't think Democrats are going to be able to improve in counties like Dade County as well as Milwaukee County because they're kind of maxed out for Democrats. 75%, more than 3/4 of voters in Dade County voted for Joe Biden. You don't see much room for improvement. And as well as Milwaukee, Democrats have about 7 in 10 voters there. We don't see much room for improvement. But Republicans in some of the rural areas still have a lot of room to grow. And I think that overall speaking, Republicans will end up winning the state of Wisconsin. That brings us to Pennsylvania, the state that will decide the presidential election. Now, just like 2020, it was the bellwether state in 2020, it will probably be the bellwether state in 2024. 2024 will be a very close election. Now, if we look at some of the results here, personally, I think that this will be a very close state too. I think this state will be decided within half a percentage point, probably. Now, we see that Republicans are going to be able to do very well in the rural counties, but we see Democrats have two large pockets in the state, the Philadelphia region as well as its exurbs and suburbs, and we see Pittsburgh. Now, Republicans are kind of maxed out in the rural regions. We see that in the state of Pennsylvania, many rural regions are going to give Trump about 70 to 80% of its votes, which means Republicans again don't have much room to improve. Furthermore speaking, really Pennsylvania, some of the rural areas are losing population as well as the city areas. But the urban areas, these are voters that may see higher turnout in the next couple of years. There's a lot of college educated voters in the Philadelphia region as well as the Pittsburgh region. And ultimately, I think that these voters are what's going to give Joe Biden the state over Donald Trump. White college educated voters are a huge group that's trending away from the Republican Party and towards the Democratic Party. And I think that that's ultimately what's going to give Democrats the election because I think that they're going to be able to do very well in the Philadelphia suburb region. So the state of Pennsylvania goes for Joe Biden by narrow margin. Again, the 2024 election, in my opinion, will be closer than 2020. It will be an exceptionally close election. So make sure to get out and vote in 2024. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.